Bringing the news to his already anxious wife broke her down. She couldn't believe her ears. My husband Chimobi, the great hunter, cannot be dead. Here are his belongings that we found while searching for him, they said, presenting her with the bag and the spear that she knew too well. She would graciously clean them for her husband before any of his hunting expeditions and pray that he comes back home safely to her. Once upon a time, in Ihiala village, a baby girl, Nazekere, was brought into the world on the Eke market day. This day was sacred, and it is believed that anyone born on the Eke market day would bring blessings to their family. They were natural magnets of good things, and people adored them because they brought great offsprings that changed history. Many people tried to have their babies on this day, but none succeeded, for no matter how one tried, an Achaean would only choose the family they wanted to be born in. Since time began, only a handful of Achaeans had walked the earth. And though you may think that life would be favorable to all of them, the case was different for Nazekere, the daughter of Chimaobi, the great hunter. And this is how it all began. Chimaobi, a great hunter, married the love of his life, Omalicha, but his wife had remained infertile no matter what they did. His love for her was boundless, and he could not take any other wife, no matter the pressure from his family. But he did not know that his wife had planned to marry him a wife so as to continue his lineage. Omalicha, knowing her husband very well, did not discuss her plans with him. However, she went on to search for a beautiful woman so that when she succeeded with her plans, her husband would have no choice but to marry the chosen bride. Omalicha was a successful businesswoman. She sold fish, yams, and other farm produce when they were harvested. So she had intel from different villages, both far and near. With her connections, she arranged with the parents of the young girl that would help in accomplishing her task and secretly brought her home. Olamma, the lovely young girl, was obedient and did all she was told, which the most important part of it was not to allow Chimaobi to see her. Omalicha, knowing the woman's body like the back of her hands, waited for when she knew Olamma would be most fertile to move into action. Finally, the day was here. Prepare yourself very well and remember all I have taught you, for today is the appointed time, she said to Olamma. Omalicha went further to prepare many assorted foods, including isiewu, nkwobi, and okwa, which were some of her husband's favorites. The fastest route to a man's heart is through his stomach, her mother would always say, and this has worked wonders for her. She went ahead to meet the best palm wine tapper and ordered for his best freshly tapped wine. She specifically asked that it should be very strong and intoxicating. After that, she went to the village hairdresser to make her hair and apply skin treatments that brought back her youthful glow. Chimaobi came back that evening and was surprised by all the preparations. There was feast of delicious food. There was fresh palm wine and roasted fish. And above all, there was his glowing wife serving him warmly. Women and their tricks, he muttered to himself, assuming that his wife had something she wanted to ask him, and so his ears itched to hear it. because this serving is befitting for a king. However, no request came. On the other hand, this special treatment from his wife actually aroused his hunger for her. His rearing so longed for her that they ended up in the other room. What he did not know was that his wife had laced his palm wine with Aphrodite herbs that caused his arousal. Omalicha knew she was infertile, and therefore this small act would not ruin her plans. When she noticed that the alcohol in the palm wine was also starting to take effect, so she invited Olamma to take her place on the bed since they wore matching outfits. Chimaobi did not know that he slept with two different women. He thought it was his wife all along, and therefore didn't suspect any anomalies. Days turned into weeks, and Omalicha eagerly waited for good news from the midwife he had asked to take care of Olamma. And as if God heard her prayers, Olamma had taken him from the encounter and would be expecting her baby in 9 months' time. This news was so great that she could not bear alone, and she joyfully told her husband of what had happened that night. However, what she did not expect was his reaction when he heard the story. Chimaobi thundered in rage. He yelled at her like he had never done since they were married and left the house in anger. He didn't return that night, and the next day, Omalicha thought he was still angry, so didn't bother to look for him. She became uneasy when he didn't return the third day and started searching for him. She asked his friends, his relatives, and his fellow hunters, but they didn't know his whereabouts. Seeing that it has been 1 week since anyone last saw him, a search party was put together in order to look for him. They searched and searched without any luck. Deciding to search deeper into the forest, a territory they knew, no one ventured because of the dangerous wild animals in that area and would give up if they had no luck. There, they found his torn clothes, his hunting bag, and his spear now covered in blood. Though they wondered how a great hunter like him could be so foolish to venture this far alone in the forest. They deduced from the scene before their eyes and went back to tell his wife what had happened. Bringing the news to his already anxious wife broke her down. She couldn't believe her ears. My husband Chimaobi, the great hunter, cannot be dead. Here are his belongings that we found while searching for him, they said, presenting her with the bag and the spear that she knew too well. She would graciously clean them for her husband before any of his hunting expeditions and pray that he comes back home safely to her. We are sorry to give you this news, but it's best you put yourself together and think of a brighter tomorrow. Obinna, his husband's best friend, consoled her as he patted her shoulder, reminding her to stay strong. Quietly, they left one after the other with sad looks on their faces as they each shook their heads at how terrible the death of Chimaobi was. What's worse, he didn't have a son to carry on his lineage, not to talk of a daughter to call his own. So this is how Chimaobi's lineage has closed. An elder said, shaking his head when he heard the news from a young hunter. Omalicha, having seen all the evidence presented before her, was left with no choice but to accept her fate. Though she was happy that her husband would have a child to his name, be it a boy or a girl, she also regretted her decisions, for she blamed herself for the death of her husband. She prepared to bury her husband in a grand style, befitting for a great hunter that he was. Her husband's relatives assist her in the preparation, and things went smoothly, for he was buried on the Eke market day of the next week. She went through the morning rituals of shaving her head and wearing all white garments and accessories, and she was determined to take care of Olamma and her pregnancy on her own, since she started all this herself. She did not expect the news she got when she went to visit the midwife that was taking care of Olamma. Olamma had a miscarriage, the midwife said. Why am I cursed? Omalicha exclaimed when she heard the news. My husband has been taken away from me, and now the only light in my world has been quenched. She cried uncontrollably. If I had known, I wouldn't have made this plan on the first place. Now look how miserable I am. She was bitter and angry at herself at the same time. The world has lost its meaning, and all she could think of was how she could join her husband and put an end to the life of misery. She had to take Olamma back home, compensate her parents, and promise to help them with whatever they may need in future. It is said, when you least expect it, life happens. Omalicha fell seriously ill and didn't bother taking drugs, for she wanted to just die and forget everything. One day, while she was buying some foodstuff in the market, since she had continued this routine of restocking her kitchen like she always did when her husband was alive, though her kitchen was filled with foodstuffs she barely touched, she still bought more. She felt dizzy, and as if the world was spinning around her, she lost balance and fainted. People knew that it was her husband's death that was eating her up, but didn't expect that she had gotten to the extent of fainting in the market. They rushed her to the nearest herbalist in order to resuscitate her. When she woke up, she was confused and didn't know where she was. After hearing from the herbalist how she had gotten there, she felt embarrassed and thankful that no one was there when she woke up. As Omaricha paid the herbalist and was about to leave, she was given an instruction she never expected. Do well to take care of your health, the herbalist said. Your body system is truly weak, and for you to successfully have this baby, you have to be very strong. She continued, but did not notice the shocked expression on Omalicha's face. Take these herbs. They will help supplement your food and boost your blood levels, she said while turning around to hand over the herbs, only to see a white-faced Omalicha before her. You mean I am pregnant? Omalicha asked, still in shock. Yes, you are, the herbalist replied. I know a 3-month-old pregnancy when I see one. Though your baby is deep-seated in your hips, it could not escape my expert hands, the herbalist emphasized. Your blood levels are very low, and that is why you fainted. She concluded, still perplexed as to why Omalicha was surprised. You are telling me that I am actually pregnant. Hmm. Omalicha let out a sigh of relief, shaking her head. Truly, Chinazegiri, she said, and this is the name I will call her, for God answers prayers. The Igbos say, Ogechi Kamma. Patience will always get us what we have prayed for. And for every woman praying for a child of her own, your time will come.